Are you looking for a really awesome and amazing graphic designer? How about an illustrator or a photographer? This is Rainey Roberts, and I wanted to tell you how you can get my designer, illustrator husband, Scotty Roberts, to work for you on your project. Do you have an awesome self-published book but no cover, or even worse, a cover that really sucks? Do you need a kick-ass logo for your company or some f***ing awesome graphic designs for your ads or website? Then get in touch with my husband for the best f***ing awesome kick-ass design and illustration. He knows his stuff, and he's been at this for more years than I've been alive. Go to ScottAlanRoberts.com. That's Scott with 2 T's, AlanRoberts.com to take a look at his online portfolio of work, or call 651-468-8115. Now go out and kick some ass with some kick-ass graphic design.
Hire my dad, so he can take me to Disneyland.
You're listening to the Intrepid radio program with Scotty Roberts. Intelligent Talk.
Well, happy Friday evening, everyone. Welcome to the show. This is Scotty Roberts. You're listening to, of course, my show, the Intrepid radio program, right here on the Odyssey Radio Network. That's ODYSY1.com. Go on over and see all the goodness that's Odyssey Radio. Check out the schedule, see all the times where you can check out this show in its rebroadcast throughout the day. And I'll thank you in advance for coming on over there. And Russ Hesledge might even be in the chat room tonight. We'll see. He's the owner of Odyssey Radio. So if you see Russ, that's him. And also, those of you watching now, of course, you know where you are because we're doing this live on my YouTube channel. But those of you who are catching this show in other places, you can see the video broadcast of this show over on my YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Mr. Scotty Roberts, all spelled out, Mr. Scotty Roberts. And hit the join button down below this window, and you can be easy for me to say. You can become a member of this show, this channel, for $2, $5, or $15 a month. And there are things you get for that. And you can go check it out, and you'll see what it is. Some of you who haven't gotten as much as you want, just hang in there. It's coming. It's still coming. We're still doing. Rainey is going to be back from Alaska on Sunday, which will loosen up my schedule just a little bit. I'm going to say something like I said last night. I have not gotten an appreciation for what my wife does as a mom because I've done all this stuff before. But what I do realize is how taxing these kids can be. And she needed the break that she got, and I'm sure glad she got it. That's why she's been away in Alaska, hanging with her sister. I saw her today online. Her face looks so relaxed. She looks so happy. And she went fishing for the last time up there today. Tomorrow's her last full day, and she comes home on Sunday. So we'll be able to welcome her back next week. So, it's going to be coming out of the fish frying pan and into the kid tending pan. Now, that's not her job, by the way. We share that responsibility here, but she takes the lion's share of it. I'm the one who's been gone the most when I've gone to Egypt several times. When I have gone, which it's been now almost 6 years since I've been to Egypt last. But when I take my mini trips to do speaking engagements, or when I was in Louisiana for 3 months, it was all on her. And I can see why after that 3 months, she needed a break. So I'm so glad she got the break she got. Yes, she needed this Michelle Canham free. You are absolutely spot on. You're a mom. You know exactly of what I speak. And hey, Steve Clark. You should come on up and join us. Uncle Dave Potter is going to come over. And he's a gourmet chef, by the way, if I hadn't mentioned that. He's going to be making up some really good stuff for us with some of the... Rainey's bringing home salmon. She's bringing home moose burgers. She's bringing home caribou meat, stuff like that. It's going to be great. So it'll be a lot of fun. Be better than living off of mac and cheese and SpaghettiOs. Not that there's anything wrong with those, Kraft and Chef Boyardee, but there you go. I'd like to have them as a sponsor. I'd sell SpaghettiOs. I think we could do it really well. I saw that field guy. No, not your adamant, the YouTube ad. I got it. I got it late. I was slow. So sorry about that. Elderberry, welcome to the show. Steve Clark, of course, welcome to the show, brother. Susie Q, great to see you on a Friday night. Glad to have you in the room always. And Michelle Canham Free, I already saw you, but I'll say hey again. And who else we got in here? Delaney Pearl Jones is here. We're going to be talking about divination. So maybe this is something that Delaney will have a lot to say about. Let's see. We got Brianna Learman. That is my neighbor from next door. I was going to put some prefaces on Brianna, the luscious Brianna Learman, but then John's probably watching, and I have to be really careful. So John and Bree are neighbors and good friends. And, of course, I'm here. And I'm just going through to see who all is in here already. And I think I've hit everybody who's in. If I missed you, it's not by any act of willful omission, but I just missed you. So there you go. Hey, Delaney, your eye is open. I see that. That's fantastic. There it is. Oh, he sure is. What did I miss? I was going for Delaney's. There it is. Her third eye is open. Look at that. Or are all eyes open? Oh, and Delaney, live long and prosper. And so, what do we got to say tonight? What do I want to get into? I got something up here that I think might be worth talking about for a few minutes, only because it's becoming a thing. Now, this is rife with political juice dripping out of it, so be very careful. If you don't like politics, I'm not politicking for a candidate. I'm not politicking for a certain party. I am, however, talking about something that is affecting us all on a political level, and that's the censorship that you're starting to see in the major platforms that are out there, like Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And some of the other smaller ones haven't quite hit as hard yet. And the only reason I have a problem with this is because censorship of the sort that they're doing, apparently they have a right to do that because they own the company. That's what everybody says that doesn't seem to mind to have censorship. Well, if you don't like it here, it's their rules and you can go somewhere else. The problem is that those three platforms are the world. It's the social world right now. They have built those up, not by themselves. It's everybody who's become they lured all these members and billions of members on these platforms all around the world. And now it's become a thing where you can't express yourself if it falls outside of what the management who owns those platforms wants you to talk about. It wasn't that way in the early days. We talked about all kinds of stuff. You never got censored. Now you're getting censored because there is a political narrative going on out there. There's an agenda going on out there. If that sounds conspiratorial, wait a few months and you'll find out it's true. So I saw somebody just say that recently. What was yesterday's conspiracy theory is today's fact. And Morgan Snow, good to see you. Just stopped in to wish everybody a wonderful weekend, she said. Sorry, got to run. I hope you have a good time. And John and Bree are going to come on, by the way, and just chat with us. If you guys pop in, by the way, and I don't see you yet, just hang out there until I get there. And by the way, I'm going to put a copy to the clipboard. Here's the link to call into tonight's show for anybody that wants to come in and contribute to the show or add something to the show tonight. And so I'm talking about this, can history, this is a specific point, can history itself violate community standards? There was somebody who started a website, or not a website, it might have been a page on Facebook. It's 100 Years Ago Live, it's called. 100 years ago live. And they said on July 29th, yesterday, in 1921, Adolf Hitler was elected leader of the Nationalist Socialist German Workers' Party, later known as the Nazi Party. And the combustible army corporal succeeded the party's original leader, Anton Drexler, whom Hitler originally had been set on to spy, but whose ideas he came to admire. He may have even shaved his mustache to emulate his predecessor. And the 533-1 delegate vote, 533-1 delegate vote, set in motion a series of events that would dominate the next 2.5 decades of world history. And as of what happened 100 years ago today, yesterday. Now, a young Jewish internet commentator named Manny Marotta, he wanted to call attention to the date for educational purposes, folks, educational purposes. Marotta has been maintaining popular accounts on both Twitter and Instagram called 100 Years Ago Live. His simple, clever, and enlightening mission is to describe history as an actual contemporary might have in the language of modern social media tools. And it's popular, earning 26,000 followers on Twitter. Now, Marotta's accounts remind us that the past was once news, that stories that we now remember as history, as ossified, fixed narratives captured in black and white, were once fresh, suspenseful events that filled contemporaries with all kinds of excitement and uncertainty. And whether it's a snapshot of a socialist Congress in Lille, France, or Lille, I think that is, that at the time might have seemed the beginning of a global Western revolution, or a cartoon showing both sides of the prohibition debate that showed how extremes of opinion dominated discourses even back then, Marotta has a nice touch for putting readers in the mood of the era. And so while keeping our thoughts on the present, he's very much the opposite of a Nazi or a fascist. And he posts about history for this purpose, in hopes that people will learn from it. He said, I have a step-grandmother who's a Holocaust survivor. That's part of the reason I started the account. Now, his Instagram post on Hitler's ascension to the status of the leader of the Nazi Party was pretty straightforward history. Adolf Hitler is elected as the new chairman of Germany's Nazi Party on this date 100 years ago. And he won by a margin of 533-1. Herr Hitler has apparently shaved his mustache into a toothbrush pattern to emulate Drexler, whom he still greatly admires, and whom he insists will now serve as honorary president. And the 32-year-old politician was born in Austria, failed, and he goes on and on. He describes Hitler. And then he shows Hitler's, after the war, disillusioned and bankrupt, the odd little corporal worked as an intelligence agent for the government while gathering information on the new German Workers' Party. He grew fond of it and actually joined it. And then he became a leader. And he shows a picture of Hitler's membership card, dated the 1st of January of 1920, or it might be the 4th of January. And there's no politicking or advocating observable in any of this man's posts on his 100 years ago today, or live. And not as a standalone post, and still less in context of hundreds of other entries about other scenes as disparate as Thomas Edison taking a nap under a tree, a woman on Tremont Street in Boston turning heads by wearing shocking pants 100 years ago, or a Soviet ship shelled in the Russian Civil War. Nonetheless, Instagram pulled Marotta's post on Hitler's election, saying it violated community guidelines. When he appealed the decision, they rejected him again, saying his content went against their guidelines on violence or dangerous organizations. And it shows right here, we've reviewed your photo and removed it for violating our community standards. Your photo was removed. And now, since the beginning of the content moderation movement, sorry, not content. There's a content moderation movement, we'll plug it as. And by the way, this is Matt Taibbi. In his article, he wrote about this. A major problem has become apparent. Human beings simply create too much content on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram for other human beings to review. Machines have proven able to identify clearly inappropriate content like child pornography, even though the algorithms occasionally stumbled, as in the case of Facebook's removal of the famous running girl photo. But asking computer programs to sort out all of the subtleties of different types of speech differences between commentary and advocacy, criticism and incitement, reporting and participation has proven an absolute disaster. And so a theme running all through all of the Meet the Censored articles is this problem of an algorithmic censorship that's systematically throwing out babies with the bathwater. So you could go on, I could go on and on and on and go all through the points that he makes in this article. And he actually talked to this guy, Marotta, and he said, can you tell us a little bit about the idea behind 100 Years Ago Live? And he said, I graduated from the University of Pittsburgh 2 years ago. While there in January of 2018, I became interested in World War I history, decided to create a Twitter account that would live tweet the events of the final year of World War I, as if I was a reporter on the ground. And he decided to do that. And the account caught on. Many people enjoyed the format. It's a mission to provide historical education in a fun and engaging way. There was no censorship of this reporting. Yesterday's Instagram post was the first time in which the social media platform removed the post, accusing it of promoting hate. Promoting hate. To speak of history and promote hate. Hitler's rise to power is, of course, one of the hallmark historical events of the 1920s and the 1930s. And he said, I intended to cover it often. And this will be difficult if I can't post the man's name and the image in any place. And he put this up and he talks about that. You can see Matt Taibbi's article over on his site. And so this is a big problem, I think, that we are facing right now in our current political atmosphere in this country. And that is an atmosphere where there are social media platforms that want to censor what you have to say because it does not fit their community standard. Or, if we use plainer English, it doesn't fit their narrative or their agenda. So the big question becomes then, what is violation of speech? What is violation of the First Amendment? Now, the federal government and nobody in an official governmental capacity can violate your First Amendment rights. But apparently, a corporation can by saying, you can't wear a shirt to work that has something that we disagree with on it. Well, that's my right to free speech. Maybe outside, but not inside the company. So this is how the big tech organizations get around being able to censor your content. Who knows? The show might even be censored because I mentioned the stuff about Hitler. And now keep in mind, and here's the last point I want to make on this, is that history is amoral. There is no morality to history. History as it sits in front of us. I can pick up a book like this, a history book, and I can start reading in this history book. You know what? That history book is relating events to me. It's not telling me which way to think. When it starts telling me a way to think, then it's gone beyond history. History is amoral. It has no morality. It is what it is. It gives you the facts. It's like the facts. And you know what? Facts don't give a good goddamn about your feelings. Facts are what facts are. Now, what you do with those facts might be different. So, engaging with a public platform, in a public platform, where there's supposedly you can talk about whatever you want until the algorithms now start blocking you because they put in algorithms that will catch certain words and they'll censor you. Sometimes human beings don't even have to look at it. And if you contest it, they are so big, billions upon billions of posts a day. Who has time to read all those? And of course, there's not a guy sitting in the office. There's a lot of people that work for these organizations. So here is the big problem that exists now. especially in the current political environment. You post something that even has the word COVID or vaccination or jab or something like that, and Facebook already has an algorithm that picks that up and says, go here for the facts about the vaccine or whatever. I put up yesterday, I said, you know what I think Facebook and these other three ought to do? They give you the ability to look at the content, and you decide if you want to block that content, not the organization deciding which content I should be able to see. It's that simple. You either put the decision in the hands of people, or you take the decision from it and you make that decision for them. Which one sounds more like fascism or totalitarianism in any form? Which one sounds like that to you? You having the choice to decide what you want to see, you putting on your own filters, or somebody putting on the filter in fear that you might see it and think that that's a good thing or a bad thing. So there you go. Yeah, it's pretty stupid, Steve. I agree. So there you go. David Potter must be in the room. Uncle Dave, how you doing? Good to see you. And Gaza, good to see you all the way from Australia. Nice to have you. Doug Stack, good to see you, brother. Tire Man, I just joined your tire Facebook group page today. Not group, it's page. And who else we got that slipped in here unawares? Nobody that I see off the top of my head. So if you slipped in here and you're here, Ryan Gale, good to see you. Ryan says, I believe Hitler's mustachio goes all the way back to World War I. Well, 1920, they say, is about when he grew it. So whether it was to emulate Drexler or he grew it in World War I, he had a mustache, his big mustache. There was a picture of him as a corporal in World War I where he had a big mustache. And he shaved it down after he started emulating Drexler. So little historical fact. Now, talking about if you said Hitler had a big mustache in 1918, would you get censored for that because you mentioned Hitler? Or are you just giving a historical fact? So Ryan Gale especially, David Potter, we're all historians. We all work and thrive off of history. Is history amoral? Isn't history just presenting the facts? This is what happened. We can talk about, in the group that we were part of, we talk about the French and Indian War. We talk about the 42nd Royal Highlanders storming Fort Carillon, which later became Fort Ticonderoga, which you can still go visit up in upstate New York, and how 1,200 of them were killed there. And how Montcalm put up the big red cross and buried them in a common grave with French as well. And is there any morality to that? We can talk about the morality that was going on in the day, but relating the history is amoral. You're relating facts, and that's it. All right. Now, I'm going to leave that alone for tonight. You all ruminate over that stuff for a while. See what you think about that. Should big media platforms, social media platforms, be censoring free speech? They can, but should they? If it's a platform, they're not allowed to. I'm sorry, it's the other way around. If it's a platform, I think they can. If it's a publisher of ideas, they can't. It's the other way around. I got it mixed up. So, and Facebook and the rest present themselves as one thing when they're actually the other by their actions. So here is the thing. Here's my only point I make with this. Companies that exist and thrive and make millions upon billions of dollars off of their platforms, especially the big three, are they not enjoying the, not results, not consequences, the benefits of living in a country and owning their corporation in a country where free speech is allowed? So if you enjoy those benefits, ought you not then need to have to abide by those same benefits? Where if you enjoyed the benefit of free speech creating your company and your billions of dollars, should you not then allow the people on your platform the right to free speech? But then again, we all know free speech has to be limited in order to be possessed. The old "you can't yell fire in a crowded theater" thing. You can, but you're not supposed to, is the idea with that. There has to be limits. You can't be foul. So who sets the standard? It's the organization. So Ryan Gale says the big reason social media began censoring history is because certain people were misrepresenting it. And Ryan, I agree with your point. But to that, I would say, so what? There are people that are going to read those posts and correct them. Correct those people. You're incorrect about your history. You're misrepresenting history. So a presentation of history is a presentation of fact. When it's misrepresented, it's a presentation of opinion about the result of that history. That's different than presenting history. Like this guy we talked about, Morata. He was doing like news reports of news 100 years ago. He wasn't presenting opinion. He was presenting historical fact like an objective news reporter, which we don't really have any of anymore. So, yeah, they're exercising their free speech by stopping us. Sure, to a certain extent, I would have to agree with you. So that's where the argument lies. So what do we do about that? What do? Go somewhere else? You start something. Others have tried to start other things. And there has to be some controls put on things. So where do you draw the line? When there's something like COVID or the vaccine or all of this stuff, and there's two sides to the science that disagree with each other. But the corporation believes only one side is correct. And they censor out the other side. What happens with that? Is that allowing people to express themselves? Or is that the company taking a stand on a certain issue and saying this is going to be what we believe and we aren't going to let anybody talk any differently about it because this is what we're promoting? There you go. Maybe that's their right. Is it right to free speech to inhibit somebody else's? No, it's a right of free speech to express yourself about somebody else's expression of free speech. That's free speech. Inhibiting it and censoring it is not, I think. There it is. But then again, like I say, the catch-22 is you have to have standards. You can't have pedophiles coming on and posting pictures of naked 6-year-olds. It doesn't work. You can't do that. But there are certain also community standards outside of the internet that have to be upheld too. There are laws against those things. So they can abide by that. So there you go. The answer is 1984 is 1776. So says Make America Great Again. I'm not sure I fully understand that because I haven't dissected it in my head. I know what 1984 is, the book by Orwell. I know what 1776 is. Are you equating Orwellian philosophy as expressed in 1984, the novel, to what happened in 1776? Not sure. Not sure exactly if I'm parsing that correctly. I heard all federal employees are now having to get the damn shot. I'm retired from the VA, said Steve Clark. I know there were nurses here that were protesting, and they had signs up, and they said, we worked all through 2020 without a vaccination in emergency status, and now we're going to be fired if we don't get the shot. So there you go. Thank you very much for all your service, everybody. Hey, Barbie D, good to see you. Glad you're here tonight. So I want to segue rather indelicately to our topic of tonight. So I'm going to leave off after the first half hour here talking about censorship and so on. I want to get into the topic for tonight, which is actually a very cool topic. Now we're talking about, can you blend the overall umbrella? Can you blend Christianity with paganism? To opposing points of view and faith, to opposing faith practices. And so we're looking now as a subcategory to that, the tenets of Christian faith. and how paganism responds to the tenets of Christian faith, and the topic itself that has become a tenet. And we're going to deal with the theology surrounding human attempts to perceive the future and act accordingly. So special attention is paid to the psychological implication of such practices and how practices are or are not helpful for our understanding of any merging of Christianity and paganism. Now, the traditional Christian understanding of divination and astrology is that it's evil. And not only evil, it's evil. And it's of the devil. It's associated with foreign gods. It's associated with Satan and his minions. The modern view is that it's either the devil or that it's con artists who are trying to scam people for money. So either way, it's not helpful for Christian life, according to Christianity. However, there are recorded accounts of divination in the Bible, and there are incidents where notable theologians in history have turned to divination to make decisions. And as such, it seems to have this mixed history, but it generally is seen as silly at best, negative at worst. You can look at, there are a couple of stories in the Bible that I think of. Do you remember that maybe you don't remember this, but the high priesthood? Okay, Brianna, I see you there. We'll see you when you get here. They're going to barge into the show tonight, almost expectedly. And the high priests in the temple worship, in Judaism, in Israel, in Jerusalem, in Old Testament times, they had these stones. We think, here, I'll use these. I got a bunch of elephants from the wedding last Saturday. They were placemark holders. They had these Urim and the Thurim. They were called the Urim and the Thurim. And they would take this, and they would, I don't know how they do it, but they'd lay the stones out. And they would, or the elephants, as it would be in my hand. And whichever way they lay, this was divination that God was giving the high priest of Israel for Israel. Now, the way that we excuse that in modern Judeo-Christianity is, well, that was from God. But that's within the faith structure. They were still doing divination. You also had the scene where King Saul, if you remember my series on King David almost 2 years ago, how Saul, the king that David was anointed in place of, and that David committed crimes against, and that Saul was chasing him in the wilderness. Saul was going into battle with the Philistines the next day, and he goes and he seeks out a witch whom he had outlawed. He outlawed witchcraft in Israel, sorcery. And so he sought out a diviner, and he went to her by cover of night and said, I want you to call up the ghost of Samuel. Samuel was the prophet. And it says that she had a divining pit. Now, a divining pit, that's the only place in the Old Testament where you find a Hittite word mixed into all the Hebrew of the Old Testament. The Hittite word, we see it translated in English as he went to a witch who had a familiar spirit. And the words familiar spirit is actually the Hittite words for divining pit. What she had was probably a big pit. You think of voodoo and things. Uncover the pit. They sprinkle blood in it, do their incantations and spells, and ghosts were supposed to come out, or spirits, or spells cast and things like that. And it says that the ghost of Samuel rose up out of the pit. And she recoiled in horror, especially when then she recognized it was King Saul was the guy that was asking, and he had a death penalty on sorcery like this and divination. So that story is in the Bible. And there are others as well. So that the traditional pagan understanding in ancient history stemmed from the idea that all things were controlled by the heavens, by the stars, by the sun and the moon, and their courses through the sky. As above, so below, says Wiccanism or paganism. And it sums up the idea that what was going on in the realm above had an impact on the world down here below that we dwelt in. Additionally, the idea of ancestors remaining in the spirit realms to protect and guide their descendants was really strong in the ancient world. And the blending of these two ideas created most of the divination systems used today. Regardless of the means, divination is seen as a way to anticipate the future and either embrace or change it in the vast majority of understandings. And divination is not set, but it's the most likely outcome. Remember when I do tarot readings, tarot? I say, here's the future you're slipping into, and here's the most likely future outcome at the end when I do the 10 card spreads. I say, the future is always changeable. It's mutable. What we bring to the table can change the course of what's predicted to happen. And so you can embrace it or change it. And so in the vast majority of understandings, divination is not set, but it's the most likely outcome scenario, which the person can influence in a variety of ways. And of course, pagans are going to admit the number of characters which will exist as well. I'm sorry, not characters, charlatans. And but they'll generally believe that there were persons who can accurately predict events through various divination methods. And so now there's arguments against blending the Christian and pagan understandings of this, and they go like this. Setting aside any discussion about charlatans, the argument against blending the two understandings differs depending on whether you have a more Calvinistic or a more Armenian worldview. And this is, we're looking at Eastern Orthodox versus literalist Roman Catholic or literalist Protestant views. And that because you can say everything's been predetermined and as such can't be changed. A person needs to have faith in God and accept whatever happens. And this worldview is very prevalent in many Christian denominations, although it exists in other religions as well. And when encountered, it's very resistant to discussion, since even the discussion is predestined. So everything is predestined to happen the way it's supposed to happen, is how this comes across. And in an Armenian or free will-centered theology, human beings are able to make choices and decisions against the desires of God. As such, divination can be seen as cheating, since a person is trying to see the outcome to a situation rather than follow their faith and trust God for the results. So in both of these worldviews, there's also a sense in which divination is temptation, since people are relying on other means besides God for inspiration and authority. And so most modern theologies simply think that divination of all kinds is silly or harmless at best, reading your horoscope in the newspaper, and so appropriately placed with the comic book section in the newspaper, and that is potentially crippling at worst, since rather than relying on their own ability to choose, a person relies on the divination to determine what to do. And there are still some groups that would argue it's the work of the devil, tempting people away from God's word and living a life of faith. But most mainline Protestants would simply see it as silliness and maybe a way for charlatans to prey on the weak. If any of you had, here, Steve said something. I'm seeing some capital letters coming up. He said, Scotty, if everything's set in stone, then why try to get people to believe in any God? Well, there it is. I heard one seminary theologian, a seminary professor, he said, I viewed predestination like this. On the outside, over the doorway or the gates, it says, whomsoever will may come. On the inside, the sign says, the predestined. And so...
She died.
I have 2 children. Who died?
She died.
Who did?
Aqua died.
Who's Aqua?
My fish dad.
Well, thank you for bringing that up during the show. I'm so sad. We will give him a proper burial in the toilet.
No.
And we now commit Aqua to the deep. Flush. And if you have a Kohler, it'll go down in one flush.
No.
All right. I'm so sorry your fish died. I know you were deeply attached. And hold on. Rainey just messaged me. Register the girls for cheerleading. Has to be done by August 1st. Forwarded the email. I picked monk's hood, also known as wolfbane. It's super poisonous. Doing radio. Want to make an appearance? Let's see if we can get Rainey to come on. Wolfsbane. That's interesting. It's just got such a cool name because if you're like me, you saw the old movies. Remember the Lon Chaney Jr. as the Wolfman. It was Warner Brothers, right? The very not stereotypical, the classic Wolfman. And the old gypsy woman said, "For even a man who is pure in heart and says his prayers by night may become a wolf when the wolfbane blooms and the moon is full and bright." So, trying not to hurt myself there. But wolfbane, that's what I think. So I just got that message from Rainey. She picked some wolfbane. It's super poisonous. I hope she doesn't want to mix it in my coffee or tea. Maybe there's an ulterior motive there. Monk's hood, also known as wolfbane. Brianna's going to be over in about 6 minutes, and she's going to join us too. We'll see if we can get Rainey to join us. She's in a weak spot for internet. We did talk today, but we'll see if she shows up or not. So, let me take your post down there, Steve. David Potter, this is new. She's informing you about the poison before she feeds it to you. There it is. Here, this is Dad's slice. No. That's just for Dad. This is Dad's slice of moose pie. Whatever it is. So, Doug, about an hour, but we've gone over. I'm not sure. We're not over yet. We still got some time here. Doug Stack, read my carrot card, Scott. We'll see what we can do. How long is this show? Says Doug. Oh, I see what you're saying. An hour, but we've gone over. That's what I was not reading your tense in there, Steve Clark. Hi, Rainey, whether I see you live or over the net. So I don't know that she's listening. She just happened to message me about her wolfsbane. So, what else? I was just going to get back into this. I segued there for a moment. So paganism usually holds to a much broader, wider worldview than modern Christianity, with the idea being that there are realms of existence that are beyond what science can prove and describe. Many pagans, well, Christians believe that too. Don't Christians believe in a realm that science cannot prove? Veils that cannot be pierced? Yes. Many pagans believe that things like spirit guides, totems, and divination fall into these realms. Neither side sees belief in such things as a core theological stance. Acceptance and use or disapproval of and non-use don't seem to be a core measure of faith in either religion. I know an awful lot of people that were in the conservative fundamentalist Baptist church that would surreptitiously, sneakily, stealthily come to me and say, "Hey, Scotty, how are you doing? Can you read cards for me?" They just don't tell anybody. So it wasn't a core hinge pin for what they believed. And really, there's no need at all to engage in divination if it's not helpful for the growth and love of the individuals involved. And in fact, there's much to be said against it, for many persons struggle with decisions and wish to allow another to tell them what to do. And this is a dangerous in anything, but especially in religion. So one only needs look at the wide variety of cults to see the lasting harm inflicted on people who didn't critically think through what their leaders and advisors told them. However, for some, divination is a way of making sense of the world that aids in their spiritual growth and as such a suggested theology. That goes kind of like this. Hold on. Yes?
I think my wrist is broken.
Think you broke your wrist? Let me see.
I twisted it really hard.
Hold your hand up.
It hurt.
Stretch your fingers out. Do this with your hand. Do this with your hand. Do this with your hand.
It hurt.
Do this. Does that hurt?
Yeah.
Yeah. How about this? How about this in your armpit? Yeah.
I'll purple nurple you.
You'll purple nurple me? Okay. I think your wrist is probably going to be okay. Take it easy if you think you have to. Familial interruptions are us. That's all I can say. Doug Stack, Scotty, read my tarot cards right now. Meow. Not right now, Doug. Maybe in a little bit. Stick around. We'll get to it. So modern psychology offers a way to blend these understandings between Christian and pagan viewpoints without debating the correctness of any given worldview or stance or predestined actions. In short, some branches of psychology would say that the symbols someone finds important and the meaning people give to divination reading can tell us a lot about what and who that person is and what they're dealing with in their life. It should be really obvious. But just to be sure, it's said right here and now. If there's any chance that anyone has any psychological issues, they should consult a professional mental health expert who's regulated by the laws of their state. Regular counseling is just a damn good idea for everyone from time to time, as it gives you a trained, more neutral perspective on life events. Now, divination can never be a replacement for therapy, but for many otherwise mentally healthy people, divination can be a way of meditating, using symbols to allow your subconscious mind to communicate. Speaking not as a mental health professional, but as a theologian, I can say that this approach seems to balance the desire we have for information about the future with the need to look inside ourselves for answers to our lives. But here's a caution. I'm going to put up a beware sign. Caution. Yield. Few people can be trusted to tell you about yourself. And until psychics, that's why I've got it written down. Until physics or psychics or other divination people are regulated, I can't recommend their use except as a possibly fun and somewhat expensive diversion. And you might get some information. I know some trustworthy. Hell, I trust myself. When I do a carrot reading, as Doug says, that reading is something that, yeah, I charge money for that, but I also trust the source on it. Hey, I'm going to move over. I got John back here, and I got Brianna. Oh, little Heidi Brianna in her braids.
Yeah, we just ran.
Oh, you ran. Oh, here. Let me move. My dirty laundry is sitting right here. Have a stool or a chair if you want that one. You can pull it up. And Doug, here's what I'll do. Now, folks, don't start like, hey, John Piper, give the wrist an ice pack. I think she's okay. She came in and said she broke her wrist already. Yeah. And but I think she's okay. Is she going to purple nurple you? You have to aim low. They've sagged over the ears. Why, thank you, Packy 247.
Yeah, that was me.
Oh, is that you? Nice. Yeah, they're not as pumped up as they used to be. The muscularity is not as. Yeah, I could use tape. That's what I do here. You know, my sagging eyes. You just tape them up. So, there you go. Thank you for that, John.
Yeah, no problem.
Until you could tell everybody about my sagging man boobs. The cat in a hat knows a lot about that, says Susie Q. Boom. And so, I don't have my glasses on. I could put them on and I wouldn't have to lean forward and squint. But then you'll have to look up my nostrils because I have to use my bifocals. That part of my glasses. Howdy, John and Brianna, says Steve Clark. We got the
Steve.
same chat room
Steve?
is over here. So you can see it there. So everybody, these are my neighbors and my friends, John and Brianna, respectively.
Friends.
Friends. I thought we were just neighbors.
Loose.
Loose friends, you know.
My hair got all messed up from running.
You ran all the way over here?
Yeah.
That 20-foot run is going to be part of the Olympics now. There's some people who do the what is that? Where you the leap in the sand pit? What do they call
long
that?
jump.
Long jump. They can go almost 17, 18 feet.
Yeah.
That's pretty well. You could jump over here next time. What did I miss?
John H. How loose?
How loose? Yeah, exactly. There it is. I'll have a show about that. Pictures at 11. So, all right. So now, are we doing a reading for you? Is that what we're doing? We're going to do a little divination for you.
Yeah.
Okay, we're talking about divination here, and so we kind of said, "Come on over, let's do a reading." And I know Doug wants a carrot reading too, that he asked for. And I've got a mess in a small bit of room on my desktop here. So, John, would you like a candy bar? There you go. Brianna, here's one for you.
What is it?
These are left over from the wedding.
I don't know. I'm kind of
From last weekend
already.
So I'm going to show you now. Many of you uphill, Scotty, says Dave Potter. The running over. Yeah, it was uphill because they're across that side of the street.
I twisted my ankle too.
So I was going to show you a little bit of divination now. Something I've rarely done on the show is a full reading. And so I'm going to do a full 10-card reading for Brianna. And I'm going to show you how it's done. And this is a form of divination. This is something that the church would be dead set against. It's a carrot bar, not a candy bar, says Doug Stack. There it is. Wesley Curry says, told Jesus I'm an evil man this evening and told the vision to paraphrase and asked him to send 4 angels to all nations and present fish and bread. Rainey's coming home with 30 pounds of salmon, so that might be a minor fulfillment of that, Wes.
That's a weird name.
What is?
Salmon?
Salmon?
Yeah, that's a weird name to name your kid.
Yeah.
Home with 30 pounds of salmon.
30 pounds of salmon. Yuck. Here we go. Now, I'm doing this now. I've done tarot readings on Sundays mostly, sometimes on the show during the week, very rarely. And so I wanted to do this in the show to show you what divination is. I happen to be of the mindset that divination can be fake. There can be charlatans out there that are trying to strip you of your money. There can be, hold on, I got Rainey messaging me. No, I'm good for now. Also the crowd, what I should do since I packed a monk's hood wolfsbane flower. I think she's asking everybody there, since she packed wolfsbane and monk's hood flower, is there anything that she should do with that? Not bring it at all or pack it? Don't put it next to the food, I would say. So no, she's good for now. I don't know what kind of response that is when I invited her on the show. No, I'm good for now. Thanks. I don't know what she means by that. So, well, I at least invited her. So there it is. So, I'm not even going to type back to her because we're doing radio. The only reason I brought that up was because I was trying to get her to come on for a minute or two. So don't pack it with the fish, Dave Potter said. That's exactly what I said. So let's see. I'll just tell her that right now. Don't pack it with the raw meat. That's Dave's advice. See why it takes me so long to write a book. All right. All right, so let's do this. I'm going to show you, because I'm a firm believer that there is something that governs the flow of the cards. I've seen too much positive come out of them. So, and if you were watching Rocky's show last night, I did card readings on the show there last night. So I'm going to do kind of a quick 10 card reading. I'm not going to do the big full Shazam, full Monty. We'll do that at another time when John's not around.
Deal.
All right, here we go. I'm going to shuffle for you 3 times. This is for Brianna. And then I'm going to have you cut the deck for me.
All right.
All right. And as I've mentioned before, these cards, I shuffle them 3 times. Those of you here in the show, you've seen this kind of thing before. And Doug, if you stick around, I'll do a mini reading for you too when we're done with this. Okay, Brianna, take this, cut it in as ever many piles as you want, once, twice, 10 times. Just put it all back together and hand it to me the way you want me to draw off of the deck. The way it feels right for you. Now, what I have always said is that I believe that this is God. It's your angels, if you want, your spirit guides, originator, creator, whoever is giving this kind of information, that delivers the information. I just facilitate it. I just read what the cards say. And I'm not a charlatan because I'm not charging her. So, okay, here we're going to go. I'm going to draw the 10 cards. I'm going to tell you what the position is and what the card is. Then we'll go back and read them real quick. This first card, this is the card of your current situation. This is where you are right now. The 4 of Swords. I'll show it as well. It's the 4 of Swords. Now, Swords is the suit of conflict. It's conflict you give, conflict you get. It's also the ability to hold the sword, wield power and authority is the idea. The next card is your obstacles, and it's the Devil card. And it looks like this, the Devil card. Now, the Devil, God, that even looks like John. Look at this. Here, let me hold this up next to his face. Where are you, John? Try to get him the same size. I can't do that because it's backwards. Right. There he is. Even looks like him. Obstacles. If it's a positive reading card, it shows the things that are fighting for you, your behalf against your obstacles. If it's a negative card, it's obstacles you have to overcome. Now, the foundation of the matter is the 7 of Cups. Cups is the suit of your passions, the things that drive you in life. Relationships, mostly with Cups. Relationships, romances, personal relationships. It's also opportunities and things like that.
I do like cups, though.
Yes. I like cups of wine. The overall, up above we place a card, and this is the overall best atmosphere that's going on through the course of this reading. We're going to put it up here. You see, I don't have a table built for this here on my mini desktop. And this is the card of your recent past. Oh, that's the aspirations. And it's the Emperor. I'm sorry, I didn't tell anybody. It's the Emperor card. I'm trying to hit that without the light. This is the Knight of Swords. The Knight of Swords is the card of your recent past. Again, swords being conflict. This is the Page of Cups, and this is your near future, or the possible direction that things are heading right now. Now, these are all your energies. Now we're going to look at the influences on you. This is the card of yourself right now, the Magician. I'll put that here. I'm going to lay them sideways so they fit. This is your hopes and, this is your family and your friends and how they influence you. And it's the 4 of Coins. This is your hopes and fears of the outcome. It's the 3 of Swords. And this is your future outcome, which is mutable, changeable, hasn't happened yet. It's the 3 of Cups. The 2 of Cups. And that goes here. Now, let's go through and we'll read these. I'm going to do just a really quickie read on this rather than try to get too deep with it. The first card is the Four of Swords. You see here, and this is for Brianna, it's a guy, he's laying there, he's in repose, he's resting, he's healing. There's the three swords hanging over his head. This is a card that says your current situation right now is epitomized by the need to take a break, the need to take a rest, the need to be done, the need to repose so you can be ready for the stuff that's coming ahead. And so it's also one that says if you're not careful and you don't take a break and get a rest, it's going to wear you out. You're not going to have much left to work with. The Devil card being in the opposition. What the Devil card means is there's an old verse in the Bible that says, resist the devil and he will flee. This is the idea that we are all plagued by our inner demons, the things that hold us up, the things that make us doubt who we are, what we're supposed to do, make mistakes. So this says, face the devils in your life and they'll run. You have to look them in the eye, square off with them, and basically oust them. And if you don't do that, they will be your obstacles. So your obstacles are the things that are inside you that hold you up. It's the things that make you doubt, the things that make you not move forward. It's your anxieties, your worries, whatever those things might be. These are the demons in the dark. And unless you face them and grapple with them and eradicate them, they will plague you. All right? Foundation of the matter. It's the Seven of Cups. Cups is that suit of normally of passion, of relationship, of romance, and the relationship can go to friendships and things like that as well. But it's really the passions. But what she's doing, the woman in the cup is holding up a sheet, and on the sheet she's got 7 different cups. They're filled with all different kinds of things. The idea with this card is that you have opportunities. At the foundation of your whole matter are opportunities. You can move in a number of directions, but if you're not careful and you don't fall back on what you know and what you know to do, you could make the wrong choices. So the idea is at the foundational level of this matter, whatever's causing the need for repose, whatever the devils in the dark are that you have to eradicate, you've got options at the base of things, and you've got to take the rest. You've got to get the devils eradicated in order to make the right decisions, because there's opportunities there. It's the idea. And this doesn't necessarily mean within relationship. Sometimes if the other cards read that way, it could be you've got opportunities in relationships. This, I don't see any other cards that really point to that as much. So this is, you've got opportunities at the foundation of things that you can work toward. The Emperor card is the best of all the energies that are going on around you right now. Now, folks, while you're listening to this, I want you to see how I am reading the cards, what I read for. I'm looking at the energies that affect you, the things that help you drive yourself forward to goals, things that might be things that hold you up that you have to put the brakes on. I'm not looking at too many comments either, so sorry about that. Thank you, Susie Q. Had some bumps with the transition. Okay, you're talking about transitions. Okay. Transmissions, I'm sorry. Oh, the transition, becoming much better. There you go. We'll talk about that, Doug. So the Emperor card, excuse me, this is the card of your aspirations, the best that can possibly come of all of this. It's not a future read. It's just saying the energy that's working for you. The Emperor is the one who has to make the decisions. You have to be the emperor in your situation here. Whatever the opportunities are, after you take the necessary break, after you eradicate the devils, the decisions are yours to make. As Solomon said in the Old Testament, the wise person surrounds themselves with a multitude of counselors or advisors, but then the decision lays at your feet. The emperor is the one who has to make the decision for the greater good of his people. And so I used to use the example that an emperor can send his troops to war to defend the nation, And it's the good thing to do, but in the same time, he knows that many of his people will die in the process. And so he has to make that decision for the greater good. What's going to be the greater good? Some of you will die here on this field today, but this is for the greater good of your country, and so on. So that's what that's all about. I don't really like to break into things on, okay. And so that's your aspirations, your near past. This is the energy you're just coming out of, and that's kind of dumped you off in the current. The Prince of Swords, or the Page of Swords, I'm sorry, the Knight of Swords. Knights are always in transition, always in movement, always making things move and shake. The Knight of Swords, the sword represents conflict. It's conflict you get or conflict you're getting, or you're giving. Getting or giving. And the Knight of Swords tends to be more a cocky person. It could be an individual in your life that's been making some problems, causing conflict for you. And you've got to watch out for him, but he's been in the past influencing your decisions or influencing your life, so your decisions are being influenced because of that. He might be the devil that needs eradicating. He might represent one of the opportunities. But in the past, there's been conflict that has been raised by someone that you need to be aware of. And you're probably already aware of who he is and what he does. So all of that is the energy that's pushing you into the near future. Now, the near future card hasn't happened yet. But the near future is, as of the beginning of this reading, is already on top of you. So you're already passing into this energy. This is the most likely of all these things I've just read. At the foundation, some opportunities to look at. You need a break, you need to rest, or you're gonna fizzle out. You're gonna drain your battery. You got to watch the devils, look them in the eye, and eradicate them. You may have had one of them in the recent past causing conflict for you. You have to be the emperor that makes the right decision in this case for the greater good. And this leads you into the Page of Cups. Now, cups, again, that's that suit of your passions, the things that drive you on a relationship level, on a romantic level even at times. And this is a card that all by itself, you see he's got this fish in a cup here. There's the old Celtic mythology that speaks of speaking to the trout, and that the trout would be like the fairy folk that are delivering messages to you. Like the poem of Yeats, I went into the hazelwood because a fire was in my head, and I cut and made a hazel wand and hooked a berry to a thread, and when I dropped it in the stream, he caught a little silver trout, and when he laid it on the ground, up came a glimmering girl, and so on. The Song of Wandering Angus, if you want to look that up. But the Page of Cups, this is messages. Pages are deliverers of messages. They're doing missives for the king. He's not like the knight errants. The knights are they are the messengers, but they're like not the errand boys. They're a step above that. They're the ones always moving and doing something for the king. The page is the deliverer of the message. The knight's coming to lop off your head. But this card all by itself, I don't know anything about this with you guys. Page of Cups can stand for pregnancy. It can stand for, it's a card of fertility. It's a card of a coming child, a coming new child. And she's like, impossible. I don't have any sex with John.
Nope.
Whoa, that was just a joke. And so in a milder sense, it can be something that says pregnant with ideas, pregnant with opportunity, pregnant with new motion, new things happening, new things to start, new things to engage in. So there's something coming in the near future that you can either make happen or you can negate it, depending on how you deal with this stuff. Let's say you don't get the break you need. You might not end up with this new idea. And I'm only saying this because it's funny and a bit flippant. You don't have sex, you won't get pregnant. And it's like that. Apply that to business or apply that to opportunities. If you don't nurture the opportunity, it's not going to happen. So where you've got a lot of opportunities, you need to take a break. You need to eradicate the personal demons. Take charge as the emperor for the greater good. Watch the guy that's pushed you in the recent past, created conflict for you. This is all leading you to possible outcome of being pregnant with something, like it can be a physical child to an amorphous idea of making something happen. Now, interestingly enough, what do you got going there?
Field guy.
I do not have sexual relations with that one. Very nice, field guy. So here's the card of yourself, which I think is very cool on to consider everything I've just said. The card of yourself is the magician. The magician is the alchemist. This is you. This is who you are right now on the inside. This doesn't mean this is who you are forever. This is a tarot reading like this is a snapshot of the here and the now. Who you are right now in all of this is the magician. The magician is the one who can harness natural energy, harness the spells, cast the spell to create the magic to happen, to have the desired outcome. So the alchemist is the one who, I love the magician card because he's the one who can harness energy to make things happen. I used to say Jesus was like the master magician in the Gospels, because if you look at all the miracles of Jesus, what were they? Nothing was unnatural. It was all, he was harnessing energy. He was calming a storm. He was healing the sick. He was feeding people, all of this stuff. So it's harnessing natural, real magic that is around you at all times and making all of this stuff we just talked about happen. So this is saying you have the power of the magician to make the spell work in your favor, so to speak. Now, this is an interesting card. This is the Four of Coins, and this is your friends and family influences. Now, that card all by itself is a card of inheritance. The coins, the suit of coins, which is the suit of pentacles in the older decks, it deals with your material well-being, your material needs, the nuts and bolts of life if it's not money. This is a card that has to do with relatives and friends, their influence on you. And this is the card of inheritance, not a big one, but or a windfall. Something's coming and going to plop into your lap that you've got, and yet you would do wise not to be miserly with it. You put it to good use, because if you don't, it will be wasted, kind of thing. I don't know if this is pertaining to an inheritance or if it's just a windfall of money that's coming, but it's showing up in the category of your friends and family.
Oh, good thing
And
you got
they're
that life insurance on there.
Yeah, there you go. Life insurance time. Make sure the payment's not late.
We're on live.
So there's something that's going to be happening with this card that gives you a windfall. Now, if it's not strictly cash money, it could be opportunity. It could be influence. It could be something that's going to better the nuts and bolts of the material aspects of your life. Okay?
Okay.
Your hopes and fears right now of all of this stuff we're talking about, the opportunities, about the stuff in the past, taking the break, all of these things, playing the magician, being the magician. Your hopes and fears are really focused on the Three of Swords. And this is the sword of what I call temporary. In the old decks, it shows a heart with the three swords shriven through the heart. And it means heartbreak, but it's temporary. This is the kind of card you would see if you lost a love, if you lost a spouse, if you lost a great heartbreak in your life. It could be even, losing a dad, losing a mother, losing a whatever. It's great loss, and it drives the swords through your heart. Many times it has to do with relationship. And so it's brokenness as a result of that. It sounded like a head on the wall
Sure
out there.
did.
Thump. But it's temporary because the swords will eventually be removed. This is a card that has, with the heartache, promise that it's not long-lived, is the idea. That could come on the heels of inheritance. It can come on the heels of this guy in the past that may have been causing problems. Come on the heels of having to make decisions for opportunities. But it definitely involves breaking something with an individual. Many times it has to do with romance or relationship, but it doesn't have to stay strictly in that category. And then all of that energy points you to, and that's your hopes and your fears. Your fear that this could happen or your hope that this could happen. The outcome hasn't happened yet. This is the future read. This is out a couple of weeks as the results of this culminate. And the Two of Cups is the card of almost like perfect relationship, perfect romance, perfect. Sorry, I'm holding that in front of John. Perfect romance. Block him out. It's the card that says you're going to enter into a time where all of this energy kind of leads you to a perfection of relationship, a perfecting, not a perfection as in final, but a perfecting of these things. And it's you having a great relationship. And now the relationship, if it's not strictly the love relationship, it could be a relationship that has to do with closeness, friends, and so on. But more often than not, the Two of Cups always has to do with your relationship with somebody that you love. So, and that's what I see. That's the quickie read on this without trying to get too deep, because we just don't. It takes about an hour and a half to do a reading like this.
Yeah.
So this gives you an idea of energies that are working for you, things you got to look at. And by the way, with the cups, I think you had one. Oh, maybe I'm wrong. Two. You had 3 cups. When you get 3 or more of a certain suit in a particular reading, it slants the whole reading toward the meaning of that suit. The meaning of the suit of cups is passion, romance, relationship. So that guy you're seeing on the side, it could cause you some problems. You're going to have to take a break from him.
There's 3 swords, too.
And you got 3 swords, which is conflict. You also have in the major arcana 1, 2, 3 cards from the major arcana, which is what I've always believed as being, it's almost like God snapping his fingers in your face going, hey, Branna, listen to this. This is important stuff. So you got major conflict wrapped around relationship, or relationship wrapped around major conflict. The relationship doesn't have to be romantic. It can be close relationship that you have on many different levels. And then you've also got the major arcana saying it's a deep spiritual message you got to listen to. So where you're at when it starts, you need repose. You need break. You got the power of the magician. You got the power of the emperor, all going for you. There's brokenness in here somewhere. Could be as a result of this person. You're coming into new ideas with this Page of Cups, new birth of new things. Might have to do with maybe a little windfall coming, or something that's going to benefit you to expand that. And you got opportunities at the foundation, which end up in great relationship. So there you go. Any of that make any sense?
Yeah.
All right. There you go, folks. That's divination. In its rawest form. That's what we're talking about. This is what the church might tell you. It's of Satan, or silly, or it's charlatans. And that's what paganism would say. There's something to that, because there are spirits out there. There is energy out there. So there you go. I need no less than 26 to 38 hours of tarot, says Field Guy. Well, there you go.
Doug.
Where's Doug? What did he say?
Very last one.
Sorry, John. No nookie. There you go. So, folks, that's divination. We're going to talk a little bit more about divination on Monday when we come back, because we've got the weekend coming up right now. And there's no show tomorrow because it's Saturday. There's going to be Sunday morning. I don't think it conflicts with picking up Rainey. I don't think so, not yet. I think we pick her up in the afternoon. Got to double check my time. But then we'll be back on Monday, and we're going to do more on this, on Christo-Paganism. Probably pick up divination where we left it off, because there's more to it. Astrology and divination. We're going to talk some more about that. And that's all I've got for tonight. So, Bree, if that made no sense to you guys, if that made no sense to you, you can say so. If it made some sense, you can say so.
It sure did.
So there you go. That's what it does. Whew, I thought you meant me. Said John Piper. Sorry, John. Wrong John. John, you and Bree are going to have a baby.
I don't need no more Johns in my life.
There it is. David Potter says, Bree, we're through.
I'm sorry.
So, let's see. People fear what they don't understand, says Michelle Canham Free. And then you were very correct. Doug Stack says, where is Satan mentioned in the Bible? Well, you can go to the book of Job for the first mention of Satan. He's actually called the Satan in the book of Job. There's an article in front of his name in the Hebrew. So it's almost like a title. He's like Hades going in to see Zeus in the animated Hercules. Hey, who put out my hair? So
should we color it again?
Color my hair again?
Yeah.
I don't know. I've done that. And I don't know. What do you think?
Maybe we should.
You can color it for me.
Deal.
No telling what color it'll be. It'll come out a weird, bright, orangey Irish red, and she'll say, you didn't say what color. I just said I'd color it.
Exactly.
So, as long as it looks good with the white beard. So, what message just got held for review? I don't know. It was the toilet paper roll? That's weird. John Piper's celibate anyway.
Oh, okay. Yeah, me too.
There it is. So it's Brianna. All right, guys.
Oh, my face.
Ow.
It's not
Oh,
as
that's right.
swollen.
You're not as swelled up today.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to call it quits for tonight. I hope that was a fun show. What did Dave just say about painting a happy little what?
They were talking about Bob Ross earlier from what I saw.
I missed it somewhere.
It's way up.
I thought it just showed up right here. So I missed that. And Rudy Kessler. Rudy, how you doing? Good to see you. I didn't see you come into the room. Glad you made it here. Rudy, I'll do a reading for you anytime. Just get a hold of me. And so there you go. We were talking about Christo-Paganism and merging of opposing ideas in faith, tenet of the faith around astrology. I was thinking of Australia.
Your what hurts?
Astrology. Crikey. It's better than doing flat iron, says Dave. I have no idea what they're talking about now. So, folks, thanks for being here. I appreciate the fact that you take your time and spend it here with me on a Friday night of all nights of the week, listening to me go on about religion and other such things, and doing tarot readings. Maybe we'll do some more readings on Sunday. So if you come on in, we'll maybe do quickies. We'll do one-card readings for people on Sunday.
You're giving more people cookies?
I can't help myself.
I thought I was the only one.
You're the only one I give quickies to.
Wait. What?
Nothing, John. Nothing. You missed it. We're moving on now. All right, guys. You all have a good evening. Thanks to my friends and my guests, John and Brianna. And if you really want to get on her good side, call her Brianna. There it goes. There's the look. There's the look we love.
I swear, if you put tape on me,
I have that look memorized.
You're gonna get a
We're not popular home on Friday nights, says Doug Stack. Sorry, brother. I'll do a reading for you on Sunday, Doug, if you come in on Sunday morning. All right, guys, you have a good night.
Oh, you're done.
Oh, there it is.
Bye, everybody.
Go. Sick 'em. Sick 'em, Brianna. There they go. There it is. All right, folks. before things get completely out of hand. Live long and prosper.
Are you looking for a really awesome and amazing graphic designer? How about an illustrator or a photographer? This is Rainey Roberts, and I wanted to tell you how you can get my designer, illustrator husband, Scotty Roberts, to work for you on your project. Do you have an awesome self-published book but no cover, or even worse, a cover that really sucks? Do you need a kick-ass logo for your company or some f***ing awesome graphic designs for your ads or website? Then get in touch with my husband for the best f***ing awesome kick-ass design and illustration. He knows his stuff, and he's been at this for more years than I've been alive. Go to ScottAlanRoberts.com. That's Scott with 2 T's, AlanRoberts.com to take a look at his online portfolio of work, or call 651-468-8115. Now go out and kick some ass with some kick-ass graphic design.
Hire my dad, so he can take me to Disneyland.
You're listening to the Intrepid radio program with Scotty Roberts. Intelligent Talk.